Ever wondered how you can bring life to your art through moving images? Find out by watching this class about flipbook animation. Hi, my name is Yvonne Wan and I'm the creator of Focus Comic. I'm an award-winning artist and I'm also an art educator too. I want to welcome you to today's class where I will introduce you to the art of flipbook animation using sticky notepads. I will teach you how to plan a storyboard. I will also teach you how to bring your story to life through multiple works of art and design that explore a personally meaningful theme. We will create a flipbook animation together. Once you have gained experience in creating a flipbook animation by copying techniques provided in class, you will be given the opportunity to generate and conceptualize your own artistic ideas and work with your own flipbook story with you as a superhero or villain. This class will be suitable for students between 14 and 18. What you will need for today's class is paper, pencil, razor and ruler, a black inking pen and 2 square sticky notepads. Optional items include a metal binder clip. Before I start, I would recommend that you use sustainable materials such as recycled paper and a mechanical pencil because it's better for the environment. So let's talk about flipbook animation. Flipbooks are a form of animation comprising of paper featuring a series of pictures that change gradually, revealing motion and sometimes a story from one page to the next. If you flip the pages quickly using your thumb, you can create the illusion of movement due to persistence of vision. Flipbooks entertain and bring joy to audiences. Flipbooks have been around for over 150 years and predates modern animation tools such as CGI and even film. The first flipbook was created around 1860 by Pierre-Hébert Desvigné and patented by John Barnes-Linnet in 1868, and it was called the kinograph. Flipbooks became one of the biggest selling optical toys in the late 19th and early 20th century. The technology eventually paved way for many advancements and improvements in animation that we see in modern times. So how does flipbook animations actually work? Persistence of vision. Our eyes have sensors that tend to retain images momentarily if we are presented with a rapid series of images. We perceive the series of images as one continuous image. Registration. Flipbooks have a registration system that sets the pictures in place so that they are all aligned. This fixture enables the transitions to take place smoothly by enabling the viewer to quickly identify the changing line art against the unchanging components of the picture. Keyframes. In animation, a keyframe is a picture that defines important changes in the action of the story, such as an important stage of movement. Keyframes mark the start and the end of an action. In between frames are frames that fill in the points between. Tweening. Tweening is another word for frames that fill in between keyframes. In other words, tweening is the process of morphing. The more in-between frames you have between keyframes, the smoother the transitions. The speed of the action is determined by the number of frames per second required for a scene. Frames per second. Traditionally, films uses 24 frames per second, video uses 30. Saturday morning cartoons have only 6 to 8 frames per second. You can create a very simple flipbook animation using 15 frames. I recommend using 45 frames for today's flipbook animation so you can create a more detailed and meaningful story with smooth transitions. In general, you can use as many frames as you need to tell your story. Exercise. We will now create a storyboard featuring Focus, the autistic superhero. Today we will be drawing Focus chibi style. Chibi means something short in Japanese. Storyboard creation. A storyboard is a visual planning document that enables you to generate and conceptualize artistic ideas and work. It is created before the flipbook is developed to tell a story. It enables you to visualize and hypothesize to generate plans for creating art or design that explores social issues. It also allows you to organize and develop artistic ideas and work, experiment, plan, and make multiple works of art and design that explore a personally meaningful theme, idea, or concept. In other words, a storyboard allows you to plan and create a really awesome flipbook animation by displaying a sequence of images for the purpose of pre-visualizing an animation. I know it's very tempting to go straight into drawing pictures on a sticky notepad to materialize your flipbook animation sooner instead of later. However, there are advantages in controlling our impulses and motivating ourselves to plan ahead so we are more able to set and work towards goals that enable us to complete quality, coherent, and visually stimulating storylines that make an impact. Creating a storyboard can potentially save you time in the long run by reducing mistakes in the execution part of creating your flipbook animation. It can also help you reduce wastage, especially if you only have one sticky notepad in the house. How to create a blank storyboard. Here are the instructions on how to replicate this 12-frame storyboard that I created. If you need to, please pause the video and hit play if you need more time to complete the actions. You can replicate this storyboard by creating two borders. Take a ruler and mark the paper by ½ inch from the edge on both sides of the paper. You then connect the dots to create a straight border. You repeat this on the other edge of the paper too. We then want to create 2-inch squares for our frames on this storyboard. To achieve this, you mark the paper 2 inches away for the border on both ends of the paper. You then connect the dots, creating the height of your frame. You then create a ½ inch border by marking the paper ½ inch from the last line. You then continue this process so you have all the horizontal lines needed to create your storyboard. You then create the vertical lines. You then take a black marker to go over the 12 small boxes with a ruler. If this is too advanced for you, you can just split the 12 boxes with a pencil without the ruler. The rationale for encouraging you to use a ruler with these measurements is that it would really help you improve the presentation of your work. You can now give the storyboard a title and you can credit yourself on the storyboard. Next, the top section of the sticky notepad forms the spine of the flipbook. You will not be able to see any art that is drawn above the spinal area where you start flipping your pages. Therefore, I want you to plan your art on the storyboard accordingly. In other words, I want you to place your artwork within the safe zone of your frame. Safe zone meaning the area that is visible to the viewer. So what we are going to do is block out the redundant space on the frame like so. I would like you to number the frames 1 to 12 in a sequential order. The next step in creating a storyboard is to come up with a simple visual story with a beginning, middle and end. Here is a storyboard that I would like you to replicate. This story shows Focus, the autistic superhero, creating a new friend whilst walking outside in the snow. The moral of the story is making friends is easy. So whilst you are copying all 12 frames using a pencil, ruler and eraser, I will talk a little bit more about how I created this storyboard. First, I came up with the idea of telling a story about Focus creating a friend out of snow. I then thought about each scene and shot, the transitions between shots, the scale of the shots, and the point of views. And then I drew the storyboard. So I decided I wanted Focus to walk across the frame and then cut into a close-up shot of his foot kicking the snowball. The frame then cuts back to a wide shot as he continues to walk to the center frame and starts building a snowman. I wanted the story to end with Focus hugging his new friend. Once you have conceptualized the scenes and the shots in your mind, you will then need to decide how you will translate the story and pace it out in 12 key frames. A good way to approach this is by prioritizing the first and the last frame, and then prioritizing the frame in the middle to reflect where you want your character in the middle of the story. You then continue to fill in the rest of the frames with key actions. Please gradually move the character in the direction that you want him to move between your key frames. When you draw focus, you need to make sure he's walking in a straight line. I kept him half a centimeter from the bottom border to keep him grounded, whilst nudging him left on each frame. In addition to this, I varied the placement of Focus's leg to give the illusion that he is walking. I did this by placing his left foot forward, right foot backwards, and vice versa as each keyframe progressed. I also rotated his arm movements accordingly. I also nudged the snowball to the left with each keyframe, making the snowball slightly larger each time. There are a few tips I would like to give as guidance when translating your story onto the storyboard. 1. Think about each scene and shot. 2. Think about transitions between shots. 3. Think about the scale of the shots. 4. Think about the points of views. 5. Make the storyboard. A shot is a continuous view filmed by one camera without interruption. A scene is a place or setting where the action takes place. Scale. The following scales can be used for your key frames. 1. Extreme close-up shot. 2. Close-up shot. 3. Medium shot. 4. Medium wide shot, in other words, American shot. 5. Wide shot, in other words, full shot. 6. Extreme wide shot, in other words, long shot. The use of different scale will amplify your storytelling abilities by adding prominence to certain elements and receding others based on what is most important in the scene. It also reminds the audience that they are a viewer and not a participant. Points of view. The following points of views can be used for your key frames. High angle. High angle is when the frame looks down on the character from an elevated perspective. Low angle. Low angle is when the frame is positioned below the eye line pointing upwards. Dutch angle. Dutch angle is when the frame is angled on a noticeable tilt. This signals to the viewer that something is wrong, disorienting, or unsettling. Eye level. Eye level is when the frame is aligned as the same height as the eyes of the characters in your frame. Overhead. Overhead is another word for an elevated shot or bird's eye view. Aerial. Aerial is another word for God's eye from a distance. The use of different points of view also amplifies your storytelling abilities and alters your audience experience of your story. You are not limited to using a single point of view or scale when it comes to flipbook animation. Feel free to experiment with these different options when you have time in the future. Now that you have replicated the storyboard, I would like you to prepare to translate the storyboard onto your sticky notepad using a pencil, eraser and ruler. I would like to remind you that the top part of the sticky notepad is the spine, so please keep the top inch of the sticky notepad blank. I now want you to number your sticky notepad sheets 1 to 12. When you create your flipbook, the first page should appear on the bottom of the stack so you can flip it more easily with your thumb. Also, it enables you to trace the previous image more efficiently. I now want you to create a template so you can trace focus again and again for each frame. This will ensure focus remains the same size in each picture and also maintain the same distance from the edge of the keyframe so that he is walking in a straight line. You can create one picture of him and then alternate his feet and arms manually to make it look like he is walking. Another option is for you to create 3 templates, one with his left foot forward, one with his right foot forward, and one with him just standing. Focus will look like he is walking if you alternate the 2 walking poses for each keyframe. Now, once you have penciled all 12 frames, I want you to start the tweening process. I want you to draw the frames between the keyframes. So I want you to mark the corner of one sticky notepad sheet and label it 1A, and then the other notepad sheet 1B, and then the next sheet 1C. I then want you to fill in the frames so that you can smoothen the transitions. I would like you to repeat this for frames 2A, 2B, 2C, all the way through to 11C. Flip your book periodically as you work. It will also keep you motivated by seeing the fruits of your labour. It will also manage your stress levels if the process of drawing becomes repetitive. If art becomes a bit repetitive for you, you can always take a quick 5-minute break and get back into the task at hand to manage your stress levels. The important thing is to resume the task because there is value in completing this project. Once you have completed all 45 frames, I want you to draw the ground on each panel, which is 2 centimeters from the bottom. I then want you to draw the moon on the top left-hand corner on frame 1. You can then trace the moon onto all the other frames. Finally, I would like you to ink it, add detail, and then delete the pencil marks. And now you are ready to flip your completed book. Feel free to show your friends and family and ask them for feedback. Remember to thank them for sharing their thoughts. Equally, if someone asks you for some feedback about their art, it would be kind to let them know what you like about their art. If they want constructive feedback, feel free to share your thoughts so that you can help them become the best artists they can be. It is always nice to share our creative ideas with others, as it helps us feel more connected with our community. Anyway, now that you have gained experience in creating a flipbook animation by copying techniques provided in class, you are now welcome to generate and conceptualize your own artistic ideas and work with your own flipbook story with you as a superhero or villain. Please apply everything that you have learned into creating your own storyboard and flipbook. I want you to synthesize knowledge of social, cultural, historical, and personal life with art-making approaches to create meaningful works of art or design in your next flipbook. I also want you to reflect on, re-engage, revise, and refine works of art or design considering relevant, traditional, and contemporary ways of visual storytelling as well as personal artistic vision. So I hope you found today's class helpful. If you want to learn more, please feel free to ask me questions. I encourage you to experiment with flipbook animation at every opportunity you can get because it's going to really help you become the best artist you can be. Thank you.